like yourself, looks like and how you can work with it for your success. So you have 4 phases that you go through every single month. So again, just to compare, men go through a 24-hour hormonal cycle, and they have some ebbs and flows, but it's relatively consistent specifically within the workday. So they have energy to show up at the same degree every single day based on their hormonal cycle. For you, having a 28-day or monthly cycle, you have 4 phases where your energy really changes and fluctuates between these different phases. So I'm going to break this down in relation to the 4 seasons, and we're going to align each of these phases with the 4 seasons of the year, because that is going to keep it really simple, especially if you're hearing about this for the first time or you just need to refresh and run through it. I will go into more detail, or I do go into more detail inside my course, Rest for Success. So again, if you do want to start connecting with this on a deeper level, I encourage you to go check that out. You can get waitlist details and all of that good stuff below. So the 4 cycles go as following. Number 1, we have the season of spring. Spring starts us off, it kicks off the year, and spring is equivalent to the cycle of your womb cycle, known as the follicular phase. This is the phase that begins right after your period ends, okay? So you've just had the last day of your period, your bleed is over, and then we begin with the follicular phase, which is, like I said, equivalent to inner spring. During this time, as it relates to work, you're really primed to do things related to planning, mapping out a project, mapping up your upcoming month, really being innovative in terms of ideas that you have, what's coming through, starting to plan how you want to be executing on those things. But we're really like in these beginning planning stages. And we can think about the season of spring really in relation to seeds being planted, the first kind of buds starting to peek through after the long winter, okay? That is where you are at on an energetic level, really primed for doing those kind of tasks. And also that's what you want to be focusing on in your work. Then we have season number 2, which is the season of summer, right? So after spring, we go into summer, and this is the phase of your cycle within the month when you are ovulating. This is also the time when you are most fertile. So if you are wanting to make a baby, this is the time when you're going to be doing that essentially, or when it's going to happen. And so equivalently to that, or we can use that as a comparison to say like you are fertile in what you're creating. This is the phase within work where you want to be executing on things. You want to be visible. You want to be launching. You want to be getting yourself out there, selling, going to the networking events, hosting the workshops or hosting the talks, whatever it is, doing the presentation at work. You're really primed for letting yourself be seen or getting something out into the world. Moving on, we have the season of fall, which comes after ovulation, after you ovulate. And this kind of is this shift from being really externally focused to project planning and executing and creation and coming back inwards towards yourself. So as we talked about before, this masculine world of work and success, the seasons of spring and summer are actually the more masculine, energetic seasons because you're doing the things that require action taking. It's the planning and it's the executing. And most of the projects and the way that we approach work in our dominant world of success, the masculine model of success, are really just focused on those 2 phases. So we actually completely disregard the feminine energy seasons, which is fall and winter, in terms of how you're showing up to work and plan for your success. So the season of fall is related to the phase of your cycle called the luteal phase. And this is, again, right after you've ovulated. So you're kind of coming back towards yourself. So in this phase, you are really primed for reflection, getting into the nitty-gritty, editing, really getting down to the details. This is a great time for longer, bigger, focused work blocks, less meetings, or block your meetings out to one day or one afternoon so you can really be in your space in this focused place. Then we go into winter, and the season of winter is equivalent to the actual menstrual phase. So the bleed, the actual period. Okay. And in this phase, it is quite literally the phase of hibernation. It is regeneration. And this is what is also known to be the fertile void. And the fertile void is this beautiful theme, this beautiful concept that states when there is nothingness, that is actually when there is the most potential for something new to come through, right? So when we have that hibernation in the winter, when the snow, for example, is covering all of the fields, nothing is meant to grow. But the soil at the same time is also regenerating. There are things happening beneath the earth that we don't even see. And this is when you're primed for ideas to come through, where you're making connections about what is really important to you, like aha moments can come through, and you can then use these to activate your innovation and your planning again once you step back into inner spring, once your period phase is over. Does that make sense? So those are the 4 phases. And like I said, they align with the 4 seasons. And I like to take it one step further because, again, this is really about aligning your cyclical nature with your success. And I have created 4 phases for actually mapping out and planning your success. And the 4 phases are innovation, illumination, culmination, and regeneration. And I'm going to be talking about those more. I talk about them in Cyclical Ascension, which is a mini course workshop that I have. And I'm also going to be talking about those in the upcoming Cyclical Flow Planning Workshop, which is a free event, the only one that I do that's free inside the O Flow Collective, which is also a free space to really start connecting on revolutionizing how you work in order to start tapping into a more aligned way of work to create this sacred success.